Hey guys, it's Wes here with the Viper's Commando War Bond update and patch notes. Now I have seen probably a dozen videos minimum that are over 30 minutes long going over these patch notes. I do not want to do that to you. So here's a patch notes in minutes or less. So some of the major areas of interest are the visible supply lines and attack origins in the Galactic War. This basically means that you can see what planets will be unlocked once you liberate a given planet or a given planet is taken. So then there are a lot of bug fixes that they got to as well on top of balancing. And then the invite only lobby creation, which hasn't been an issue for me, but that's probably just because I don't have friends. So with the stratagems, they wanted to make it so we don't just use the same 4 stratagems every time, which for me, as far as offensive goes, the only 4 I ever used were the Eagle Airstrike, the 500 kg bomb, the rail cannon, and the laser. And I'm starting to use a laser less frequently just because of how long the cooldown is. But the sentries all got huge buffs. If you want to read all of it, just go ahead and pause it. Basically, they did nothing bad to these. They're stronger, the call-in time isn't as bad. And then the minefields, damage increase on the anti-personnel and incendiary mines. The smaller orbitals are all buffed, so they are more on par with Eagles, which is really good in the case of the Gatling. It's now useful. Airburst, sometimes I did, but the precision strike is unique in the sense of what they said in their blog post, which is they see that we are not using it how they intended, so they wanted to make it easier for us to use it how we want to. I think they need to keep that mindset up. They should have had that mindset from day one, and I probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel because I wouldn't have wanted to rant about stuff. So then the rocket pod, it says, while these changes may look like a straight up nerf, that is not the intention. It does look a lot like a nerf. They also didn't like how they didn't try, it was just really inconsistent. Like you throw your rocket pods, it's a coin toss on if it's even gonna help. This looks bad, but the improved targeting and armor penetration seems like it'll make up for it, but they also said this is a work in progress and that we need to give them feedback, and I'm assuming there will be a lot of feedback in that chat right there of people moaning and groaning. So Eagle strafing run having another charge and also the armor penetration makes this useful. The grenade launch I really only used for when I was farming super credits. You know, they just said they wanted it to damage medium enemies better. The heavy machine gun, I'm tempted to use this now. Increased the projectile damage by 50% and then increase the damage against durable body parts by another 10%. So what durable body parts are, it's like the legs on the Charger. They're larger body parts, but they're not critical like their face. I don't mind the decrease in fire rate because that thing has a lot of kick, so you're wasting a lot of bullets. Having that down's great. Decreased reload time, really good. That was another huge reason I didn't use it. Stagger strength being higher is also very good. The machine gun, decrease the reload speed and increase the magazines to 4. That's great. So the machine gun sentry, Gatling sentry, and exosuits Gatling, the damage is increased by 10 and the projectile damage against durable body parts has gone up by 4 times. The Liberator, Stalwart, and the Ballistic Guard Dog, durable body parts damage went up by 13%. The Concussive went up by 12%. The Adjudicator, that thing has a lot of kick, and they just basically felt like we were getting punished for not being perfect. Remember, short bursts. So for the AR-61 Tenderizer, I'm loving this. I was hoping this is what every AR would get, this damage increase right here. Every AR would get that kind of treatment. Decrease the ammo capacity in the magazines is fine. Increase the stagger strength. So hopefully the Berserkers will melt to this thing. I hate Berserkers. Berserkers actually have more health than Devastators. It's wild. I don't understand that. The Purifier increases the armor penetration to be the same as the Explosion and decreases explosion damage fall off. Explosive Crossbow increase the armor penetration for the Explosion to be the same as a projectile. Decrease the demolition strength, so now you're destroying bug holes and fabricators. and added a medium penetration tag. I doubt it's going to be as ridiculous as when it came out. Anything's better than what it was. The Eruptor, they were not a fan of how often people are getting team killed with it, and I was also not a fan with how often I was being team killed by it, but they absolutely neutered it. So seeing this big of a damage increase is great. Diligence increased the damage against durable body parts by 15%, and then some enemies have durable body parts that receive only a portion of base damage from projectiles. What I'm thinking that is an explanation of what a durable body part is and what's supposed to be its own like bullet over here, because every time you see durable body parts, it has the asterisk. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be an asterisk. And then the recoil stance modifiers, basically they are promoting the use of standing still, crouching, and going prone. The only two that have been made worse by 10% are when you're running. Gameplay: remove the AA defense modifier, which reduces your stratagem slots by 1. I love that because of what they said right here. It only encourages the players to bring the best stratagems and does not promote variety, which is what all of those orbital and machine gun sentries, all of those buffs were for that reason, and AA defenses actively worked against it. Disable the retrieve essential personnel defend event mission for the time being. I never really had a problem with this mission, but I'm not sad to see it go. Super samples are now on difficulty 6. It encourages more players to stick around because they don't have to play on difficulty 7, which does feel like quite a ramp up from 6. So the sieve artillery stratagem is no longer blocked by stratagem jammers or ion storms and is available after the mission timer ends. And you can also use the sieve artillery stratagem to destroy stratagem jammers. Enemies in melee range of the gates in the evacuate high value assets mission will now attack it more consistently. I'm pretty awful at those, so that's not good news for me. Chat from in-game menus and mission loading screen, that's nice. And updated some first person crosshairs to improve readability. Sure. Invite only lobbies. Again, they're reminding me I don't have any friends. The armors. There are also 2 armors in the super credits section of the store that have this peak physique passive effect. Honestly, look pretty good. Now the planets and hazards. The spike plant, they don't cause bleed or stamina drain if hit by it or the spikes, and it now pops 3 times, sending spikes everywhere, dealing increased damage. Fire tornadoes. Fire tornadoes don't suck as much. That's essentially what this means. They are just going to be random like a tornado and not chase you across a map, and when you're trying to evac, you won't have 5 of them go across the evac stage. The tremors, they're more random and they're bigger. So instead of feeling like you're always getting hit by it and then the enemies that you're running away from are catching up to you, they're getting hit by it too. So everyone gets to suffer together. Now, visibility. So the fog is something I absolutely despise. They are a bit less harsh and dense, and artificial light sources have had their intensity rebalanced and reduced across the board. Unexploded hell bomb, the minor point of interest, which is just a hell bomb that didn't go off, that are usually like sticking out of a charger or something. They will explode immediately if hit by something with some but they will still have the same delay if hit by small arms or weaker attack. Vegetation, now the vegetation that slows you down will also kind of hide you, and ion storms, they added additional VFX for ion. So for the enemies, the acid effect now allows you to sprint and slows you down by only 30%. So you can sprint and only slowed down by 30% instead of 50. So you're moving a lot quicker, but the duration has increased to 4 seconds. Armored enemy balance. Okay. So I was going through the subreddit and found this video. So having watched that, I don't know if the difference was quite noticeable in the amount is at least 30% less than before during the bug breaches. Maybe that guy was just getting unlucky with patrols, but he said that was like all day. From there, some people in the comments saying that they were having hulks being just dropped on top of them. So we'll see. So they just want us to be able to use, again, not just have to bring 500 kg bombs, rail cannons, and eagle airstrikes because of the amount of heavies being thrown at you. And maybe I can use the rocket air burst. I really loved that when it came out, and then I started playing higher difficulties, and I needed the auto cannon. Patrols, okay, so basically patrols don't suck. Stunning. Medium and large size enemies now don't get stunned as easy. This won't affect stratagems that stun and will mostly just affect how easily the pummeler can stun larger enemies. So the bile and nursing spewers, they get slowed if they lose their legs, which is great. I always hated how fast they were. Puke now applies the acid effect, but this right here, can now only damage Helldivers up to 4 times per second and cannot take damage multiple times from the same projectile. Hallelujah. That was so annoying. If your head wasn't on a swivel and it came up behind you, that's it. That's the end of you. Wearing heavy armor, you might make it. So the Bile Tide, its head is slightly less durable against weaker anti-tank weapons. That's basically just to help the railgun out, since no one uses a railgun anymore. Puke has the same mechanics as the spewers now, except it has a bigger spread, and you still don't want to try to tank that. The Charger Behemoth is now joining the battle on higher difficulties. It can now also take more damage than before, so now they're more like Hulks is what I'm seeing. So Chargers will now only show bleed out effects from the body if the bleed out state has started, so that's more of a bug fix. Automatons, a Hulk Scorcher got the same treatment as the spewers. It's now not gonna insta-kill you. So the automaton tanks, the armor value on the front has been lowered to be the same as the non-vent sections on the rear of the tank. It was initially like that because tanks were supposed to be more armored on the front, which makes sense, but the visual language didn't show that. I didn't even know about that. That's cool. Vents will now check for explosion directions correctly. I didn't know that was an issue either. And the damage of the exploding automaton jump packs has been decreased by 50%. That's great. We'll still set you on fire. Just dive and you'll be good. So Galactic War, the warp, link, supply lines, and origin of attacks. So they thought that it would make the map clutter. They were wrong. We want those, and they put them in there. Glad they're listening. So now we should be able to stop the attack at the source. Here's the fixes. Oh God, the issues. I haven't even read the issues yet. So the spear is now usable again. It can go back to being the Hulk Buster. It can't target spawners anymore, which it never was supposed to, so that's fine, I guess. The intense heat and cold environmental modifiers now affect the Quasar Cannon's reload speed and will show correctly in the HUD. So the reload speed on cold planets is down 2.5 seconds and is up 2.5 seconds on hot planet. So I won't be taking it to hot planet because I think that's like 17.5 seconds now. The automatons now have tighter limits on their weapons to how much a projectile can deviate from the weapon's muzzle angle, so they won't shoot sideways at us anymore. The exosuit weapons are essentially just more accurate. Ballistic shield now collides with grenades. So this isn't how I would get my unlimited grenades. I'm not going to say how, and when I go to check if the way I do it is fixed, I'm not going to report back on if they fix that method. So the extraction shuttle will no longer take damage, preventing extraction. You'll always make it out this way. Now the levels won't generate with blocked areas, preventing player progression. Breaking news, Helldivers finally know how to change a light bulb. So now people in the subreddit can shut up about it being a skill issue and you just not getting on board in time, so that's good. So for crash fixes, again, you can just pause the video here. None of these I really had much trouble with. Known issues, this should be good. Arc weapons sometimes behave inconsistently and sometimes misfire. Most weapons shoot below the crosshair when aiming down the sights, which the sights have always been bad, so that's probably an improvement, honestly. It looks like everything after that has just been the same issues that we've been seeing since day one, pretty much. So there's a patch. My biggest gripe though is when you look at all of these right here, you see every assault rifle except for the penetrator. The penetrator had very bad damage, even from an AR standpoint. So seeing that it didn't get any buffs, that's Kinda sad. I also wish they would have figured out the crosshair issues, but we can't have everything. This is a very good start. So now I'm just going to unlock the war bond weapons, see how those play, and I'll have a video about that. And I was able to unlock the war bond using the farming method in my previous video, which I will link below, and follow the instructions that say like and subscribe, and follow my socials. Thank you, and have a good one.